This is probably the 87th video you've seen about the R5 and R6 today, but I've been watching all the videos, reading all the reports, all the limited hands-on that people have had, so this is my 2 cents, if you care, which you probably do because you clicked on this video. Let me start by saying I pre-ordered the R6, not the R5. I also went with the new 85 f2, which is an interesting looking lens. I've been excited about these cameras for a while. I love new gear, both for using and to test things out, to compare them. Really enjoy using the R, other than the few little niggling issues, things I wasn't a fan of, and it looks like they fixed most of those, so I'm pretty excited about the R6. I will likely sell my R once I've got the R6, done some tests, some comparisons. I don't need to have 2 different Canon bodies, so if you want an R in early September, hit me up. Probably going to be selling it. Now, I was on the fence about getting the R5 or the R6, but I opted for the R6. Will I regret this? Who knows? I would kind of like to keep some budget for the A7S III too, or if it gets announced between now and when the R6 ships at the end of August and it's an amazing camera, which I'm sure it will be, I'll just cancel the R6 order and get the A7S III, or I'll get both. I don't really know. No one really knows at this point. Either way, the timing does work out nicely and it gives me a little bit of time to think about what I want to do. Both the R5 and the R6 have things I want and need, and I think we are the closest to a perfect camera that we have ever been before. But we'll let camera conspiracies decide that once and for all for everybody. For me, at least, those are microphone, headphone jack, no crop 4K 10-bit 422 in C-Log. R5 obviously has 4K 120 and 8K as well, if that tickles your fancy. A fully articulating screen, Ibis. I'm actually very interested to see how the Ibis is in the R6. From what I've seen so far, it looks pretty good. Dual card slots, weather sealing. Dual pixel autofocus 2 has been put in the R5 and the R6. Very interested to try this out. We all know I'm a Sony person and I do prefer my Sony autofocus over Canon, at least dual pixel 1. So I'm interested to try out dual pixel 2 and see how they can compare. Sony has typically done eye autofocus and animal autofocus a little bit better recently, so good opportunity for Canon to step up. I'm glad there's a joystick back on the R5 and the R6. I wouldn't say I hated this, I wouldn't say I love it, it was just there and you learn to deal with it, but I'm glad that little thing, the touch bar, is gone. Both cameras have 12 frames per second mechanical and a 20 frames per second electronic silent shutter. So those are all things that I wanted, all things that I need, and as I said, we're this close. As long as there's no cripplers, which I'm going to talk about in a bit, we're this close to the perfect camera. You might be wondering why I didn't go for the R5. Well, I can make it very straightforward for you. I don't need 8K. Not a lot of people do need 8K. 4K 120, don't need that. 4K 60 is more than enough. And PM says that the R5 in his video did overheat in 4K 120. So are we going to see issues with that? It's hard to say right now how it will affect things. He mentioned that he had to stop and let the camera kind of sort itself out, cool down before he started to film again. Now, I also did see a video from Vistech, which is like B&H here in Canada, and throughout the whole video and all of their video tests where they were recording the screen, you can see the little overheating symbol in there. So that is a little bit worrying. Also, EOS HD put out a report saying that there are massive 4K and 8K overheating issues with the R5, or serious overheating issues. Is there any substance to this? Who knows? Barely anybody has a working unit right now, so it's all theoretical, all things to consider though, things you should definitely think about. Now, both the R5 and R6 have dual card slots. However, the R5 has the very expensive CFast card slots, and I'm not interested in buying those right now. I think a CFast 128 is like $300 US, and that gets you, I think, 3 minutes of 8K raw video if you want to do that. That's pretty pricey. So I'm actually liking that the R6 has dual SD card slots and you can just put in high-speed SD card slots and be done with it. A couple of things I am wondering about. The bitrate of the R6 is a little bit concerning until we see tests and see how the video actually looks properly. It's kind of hard to say, but I did see one person on Twitter mention that it's actually a lower bitrate than the Panasonic GH5, which is like a 4-year-old camera. So that is a little bit worrying, but we'll see. That being said, they are better bit rates than what we have going on in the A7 III right now anyway. The EOS R6 gives you IPB video compression as well and no all-I, which means the bitrate is actually technically worse than the R6. Again, it's all theoretical on paper specs. Until we see all the examples and we can actually compare, it's really hard to tell. And if you are interested in seeing all the different bit rates between the A7 III versus the R5 versus the R6 versus the R, I'll slap all those on the screen for you right now. So pause it now. Okay, done. If you didn't pause it, then you're gonna have to go back. Other thing I'm a little bit skeptical about, they say no crop, but it technically does have a crop. That's the R6. It's a 1.07 crop when shooting in 4K, which is the difference of being, let's say this wasn't a crop, let's apply a 1.07 crop now. So that's what the crop is. It's not a huge amount, but it's still a crop. You can't say it's not a crop. There's a crop. I'm also wary of the LCD screen being a little bit lower res than the R. This is the R and it's a 3.2 inch screen, and on the R6 it's a 3 inch screen. On the R5 it's the same 3.2 inch screen. On the R6 there is, I think it's 500,000 dots lower res for the screen, and I do really love the screen on the R, so a little bit skeptical about that, but we'll try out and then make our decisions. It's still better than the A7 III as well by like over 500,000 dots too, so I'm sure it's gonna be fine. EVF on the R is the same as the R6, and it's been bumped up on the R5 if you are getting that. And then another thing I'm gonna be sad to lose is the top-down screen. I've really started to come to like this, but on the R6, we will have a dial again now, which is nice. I like a tactile dial. You can change modes without even having to look at it. You can just feel it, turn it, and you're good to go. So excited to actually have a dial on there that we can play with again instead of this, which is, you deal with it, but it's a pain. And then finally, it still has a 29-minute, 59-second limit. Still, don't know why. My A6400 does not have that. That being said, I have been shooting videos more and more like this with the Animus Ninja 5. I don't even have a memory card in the camera right now, and I've got a dummy battery there. I just leave it running and I just record on the Animus Ninja 5. So not too worried about that. It's just, why couldn't we have no recording limit? A lot of other cameras are starting to not have that, so interesting. Is it a cripple hammer? No, probably not, but we'll see. And then obviously the overheating. We don't really know how it is for the R6 yet. We've seen a lot of things saying that the R5 does have it, but when we actually see it, when we actually use it, how bad, or is it even gonna be an issue whatsoever? It's hard to say at this point. As I said, it's all theoretical, but those are my thoughts right now. I've pre-ordered the R6, as I said. Looking forward to getting some hands-on time with it, trying it out, comparing it to the R, comparing it to the A7 III, and we'll see. Maybe I'll switch to Canon. I probably won't. I've got too much Sony glass invested, but I like to see what the options are. Right, that'll do. Thanks for watching. Let's see how quickly I can get this uploaded. See you later.